Okay, we're covering the if statements in Excel and nested if. And first of all, we're going to have a look at this PowerPoint. So the standard if statement, you could ask a question like this. If you're very, very good and you take out the trash, I will give you a candy bar. Otherwise, no candy bar for you. Now, that could be shortened to, if you're good and take out the trash, candy bar. Else, no candy bar. Now, Excel handles it slightly differently. If you look at this, this is a formula. But it makes sense. It's saying if the word good is written in cell D7, then display candy bar in this cell. If the word good isn't displayed in D7, then write no candy bar because the person hasn't been good. Now, that's what it says here, see? It says the contents of D7 is good, then write candy bar. Otherwise, write no. Okay? And this is what it looks like in Excel, and we'll look at it shortly. It's split up into these sections. There's a logical test, which it comes back with either true or false. So basically, it says, go and have a look at D7 and see if it has the word good in it. If it does, come back with true. If it doesn't, come back with false. Okay? And value if true is what to display or do if the logical test is true. And if it is true, we display the words candy bar. But if it's false, then we display the words no candy bar. So that's the order that it comes in. The logical test is what we're saying true or false, followed by, well, if it's true, do this, followed by, well, if it's false, do this. And that's the order, and they're separated here by commas within the if statement parentheses. Now we have something called an AND statement. So, mother to daughter, if you're very, very good and you take out the trash and you empty the dishwasher, I will give you a candy bar. So the short form of this is, if the trash is out and the dishwasher is emptied and the dishwasher is emptied, see, then candy bar. Otherwise you don't get a candy bar. So the little daughter has got to do both of these tasks to get the candy bar. Makes sense. So we can see here at the top in the Excel version from the spreadsheet, yes and yes, she gets the candy. No and a yes and a no, if it was in there, and two no's, no candy. So this will you shall only get the candy if she does both things. Okay? And so this is what it says here. If and, this is the format. So we're saying this AND statement only returns true, because remember this is in the logical test area of the if statement. It only returns true if all the things you put in there are true. So C5 has got to equal yes, and D5 has got to equal yes, and you can have any number of things, but they all, if you have AND here, they all have to equal whatever value you give to them here. Okay? If both of them equal yes, then get a candy. Otherwise, no candy. So there it is. That's this area. This area here is an AND statement, which is in the logical test area of the if statement. And both C5 and D5 must be true. In other words, is it true that C5 is the same as this? Is it true that D5 is the same as this? In other words, they both have yes in them. And if it is true for both of them, then you get the candy. Okay. So is it true? Yes it is. Is it true? Yes it is. Then you have some candy. Okay. Now the OR statements are slightly different. Mother to daughter, if you're very good and you take out the trash or you empty the dishwasher, I will give you a candy bar. Your choice. So basically it says if the trash is out or the dishwasher is empty, then the candy bar, else no candy bar. So the daughter has a choice. She can either empty the dishwasher or take out the trash. Now she's got to do one of those to get the candy bar, or both, but if she does neither of them, then she won't get a candy bar. And you can see this table here. If she takes out the trash, but the dishwasher isn't emptied, she gets some candy. If she doesn't take out the trash, but she empties the dishwasher, she gets candy. If she does both, she gets candy. If she does neither, she gets no candy. And this is it here. All we've done from the AND statement is change this word to OR. So it's saying that anywhere in my logical test, if either that one is true, or that one is true, or any other number that you put in there is true, any one of them has to be true, and you get to display candy in the what to do if true area. If they all have to be no, they all have to be false to say no candy. Okay, so contents of C5 is yes, or the contents of D5 is yes, then you can write candy in that cell. Otherwise, write no candy. Okay, and that's OR statement is used in the logical test area. Okay, so we've got the same here. Is it true that the C5 contains? So one's false, one's true, but that's okay because we're looking at an OR and only one has to be true, so we still get the candy. And you can see here the logical test area is this OR statement, which has been slotted into the logical test area. Okay, and here it is in action. Now the nested if is a little bit more complicated. Here's an example. You're sitting there thinking, well, what shall I wear if I go out tonight? So there's the first if I go out. Well, if I go to the restaurant, I better dress up. But if I visit my friend, I'll wear jeans. But if I stay in, well, I'll just put my swim pants on. Fairly typical range of options. Here it is in Excel. We have if, and here's the logical test. If the contents of C12 is yes, then I do this, and this is another if statement that's been nested inside it. So that's what I do if it's true. It's the same position. It's the what to do if true, and here is what to do if false. Sweatpants. So if it's not yes, which is actually means I'm going out, then if it says no, I'm not going out, then that's what will be displayed. Sweatpants. Otherwise, it will do this. So it will say, well, what does D12 say? Am I going to a restaurant? If it's true that D12 says a restaurant, then I'm going to dress up. But if it doesn't say that, I'm going to say jeans. So that's a nested if. This if statement is nested within the area for the true return. Okay. So it says if the contents of the cell C12 in the spreadsheet says the word yes, then if the contents of D12 equals dress up, then make the cell say dress up, as in here. However, if D12 says jeans, then make the cell say jeans. That actually means if it doesn't say dress up, say jeans, but that's another story. But if the contents of C12, back here again, C12 doesn't say yes, means I'm not going out, therefore I'm going to wear sweatpants. Okay. And this statement, the if D12 equals restaurant, say dress up, if it doesn't say jeans, is an if statement that's nested within the main if. But it would work just on its own as an if statement if you wanted to use it. And sometimes it's easier to build up these nested ifs by making ifs that work and then pasting them inside each other. I know it sounds difficult, but this is the most difficult version that you'll come across, just a single nested if. Okay, so here it is here. So it says, am I going out? Yes, yes, no. Okay, so if let's do the first one. Yes, I'm going out. if C12 equals yes, then you have to move on to the next one here that's after the first comma and before the second comma. So it says if D12, there's D12, equals restaurant, well, it does. It says write the word dress up. Okay. And for this one, yes, I'm going out, so here we go and do this area again. It says if D12 equals restaurant, say dress up. Well, it doesn't say jeans, so I must do this one here, the false part of the if, this nested if. So I write the word jeans. And then we come back again to this one. If C12 equals yes, well, it doesn't, so we must do the one after the second comma here. We must write sweatpants. Okay. So that's the nested if. Thank you. Okay, here's the live spreadsheet, and then currently it's set up for the OR. So it's saying here, well, I'm going to put the trash out, but I'm not going to empty the dishwasher. But I seem to still get my candy, which is good, for me anyway. And if I don't take the trash out, but I empty the dishwasher, I still get my candy. Yippee. And if I do both of them, yes and yes, I still get my candy. So really, why would I do both of them when I get my candy for doing only one of them? But that's what the OR means. You can see if I don't do either, if I don't take out the trash and I don't empty the dishwasher, I don't get my candy. Okay? So let's just go and have a look at the top here. It's saying here, if, and then this is the logical test, and the word OR means that anything in the parentheses, if any one of them is true, then the whole thing is returned as true. Okay, so both of these have got to be false. If there are 5 of them, there are only 2 here, but if there are 5 factors in there, only one of them has to be true for it to return a true. And when it returns true, it does it from the second area here, the one after the first comma, and it returns the word candy. Or it could be returning the word no candy. That could be a formula in there. You could do you work out a bonus or something like that. So there's anything can go in there, not just words. Okay, so that's the OR. The other one that we considered, I'm not going to do the straight if here. I think you understand it. If I change that to an AND, okay, so there's the AND. And I pull that down to copy it down, you'll see that our chances of getting a candy have diminished somewhat, which is very sad, especially if it was going to be chocolate. Anyway, if I put the trash out but I don't empty the dishwasher, I'm not going to get any candy. And if I don't put the trash out but I empty the dishwasher, I'm still not going to get any candy. I only get candy if I do both jobs. And obviously if I don't do either of them, I get no candy. So I only get candy if I do both jobs. And we can see that in the logic. It's saying AND here. That means that everything after the parenthesis and before that parenthesis, any of these, well, there are 2 factors in here. C5 equals yes, D5 equals yes, but there could be any number again. But the difference between the OR is, with AND, they all have to evaluate to true. So C5 has to say yes, D5 has to say yes, in order for this area, the true area, to be used. Otherwise, the no area is going to be used. So our chances of getting candy are pretty low, and it's very sad.